Welcome back to a special edition of the show. Joe Biden promised to, quote, end fossil fuels during his campaign. And he's actually followed through on that promise. Biden has canceled drilling permits. He shut down pipeline. He sanctioned oil markets. And those are the reasons that gas prices have risen to their highest point ever and stayed there. Over the Department of Transportation, Mayor Pete has a solution. Just buy a $60,000 electric car that doesn't work and then we can turn off if we don't like you. Here's how Thomas Massie of Kentucky responded to that idea at a recent hearing.
If that average household plugged in electric cars, do you know how much more electricity they would use in comparison to the air conditioning that air conditions their whole house?
No, but again, I would emphasize it will be less.
Let me help you with that first before we go on, because the numbers are important. It would take 4 times as much electricity to charge the average household's cars as the average household uses on air conditioning. Do you think that could be? So if we reach the goal by 2030 that Biden has of 50% adoption instead of 100% adoption, that means the average household would use twice as much electricity charging one of their cars as they would use for all of the air conditioning that they use for the entire year.
It's so good. You can't really overstate the contempt we feel for almost all members of Congress. There are a few good ones, and there are a couple great ones. Thomas Massie is a great one. He represents Kentucky in the House of Representatives. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. Were you surprised that the transportation secretary who's lecturing you about renewables and energy had no idea what the numbers were?
I wasn't surprised. Look, their plans are based on political science, not physics and engineering. And by the way, one of those people you showed in your monologue, those highly credentialed economists, was my intro to macroeconomics professor at MIT, Paul Krugman, 30 years ago. I knew for 30 years he was full of it. And so that's why I knew the plans this year wouldn't work. But on to Boondoggles. Look, the reality is if they do know, they have a different plan. They know that you can't run the air conditioning for Americans in this country and have the electric car adoption rates they want with the existing grid we have in any time frame in the near future. But what they expect you to do is turn off your air conditioning. There were 3 days after I had that interview with Boondoggles, CNN runs an article that says, Americans are spoiled. They need to live without air conditioning. They need to live like Europe. How do you do that in Arizona?
It seems like an intentional effort to dramatically drive down the standard of living for average people. Why would they want to do that, do you think?
They want a lower quality of life and a lower standard of living. And that's the only way you can accomplish their goals. Otherwise, you're going to crash the grid. We've already seen blackouts. When they're polite about it, they're rolling blackouts and they tell you that they're going to turn off your electricity. But sometimes you have brownouts. You're going to have nothing and you're going to be happy about it. That's their motto. They're also, Tucker, trying to force people onto public transportation, which mass public transportation has always been a losing proposition in terms of efficiency. And one more thing, Tucker, since I did that exchange with Boondoggles, somebody said, well, Congressman, you could charge your electric car at night, not while the air conditioning load is high. Well, what the hell powers the grid at night? It's coal and natural gas. The solar panels aren't working at night.
Did the person have any idea that was true? Do they even know that?
No, it's all based on political science. This is why I'm a political science denier.
So good. You are welcome on the show anytime. Thomas Massie of Kentucky.